You need to normalize failure. If I told you in 2 failures time that you'd get $500 million, how quickly would you want to fail? And so many of us are so scared about failing. But it's like, I don't know anyone who has made great success who hasn't failed. A story I keep hearing is like, oh, well, I can't get in because it's like, it's too much now. And I'm like, yeah, but imagine in 5 years or 10 years, it's going to, increase.
What could be one motivating step that someone could take just be on that journey towards entrepreneurship, which will funnel into property?
The only person you can truly trust is yourself. That is the person who you should have your own back. Like, for example, the Palm Beach decision, obviously now, great decision. In the moment, I did have the thoughts of, oh, am I paying too much? Or am I making the right decision? But then still moving forward and trusting yourself. That's how you gain self-trust if you've never had that self-trust. And I feel like that identity of someone who takes risks and backs themselves and says, it doesn't matter what's going to happen, I'm actually just going to figure it out, is then what has shaped me in regards to building my business, scaling my business, buying properties, like the woman who you see today.
Curious, how do you balance intuition with strategy?
I truly believe, and it's like, this is not just with property, this is how I make decisions for everything, is...
All right, Buying Gold Coast, another guest episode this week. So this episode is going to be cool. I'm really keen to not only unpack and dive into our special guest story and journey, but this one's going to be good. If you're a buyer right now, I truly believe success in any form of property, especially here on the Gold Coast, it's 80 to 90% mindset and the rest is technical skill. So this is going to be an episode for anyone who wants to have a perspective shift and lift on what it takes to truly succeed, maybe not only in property, but also business and in life. And I think a lot of today's episode, we're going to actually unpack the mechanics on mindset, belief, and how that translates straight into success in property on the Gold Coast. And I've got an absolute weapon on this topic in the building. I've got the one and only Georgie Stevenson, who's the founder of New Harvest, but also a low-key property investor too.
Very low
Just
key.
keep it low key, but we've spoken off air before and she's doing amazing things with property and she's got some properties on the Gold Coast as well. So she loves the city and I'm keen to unpack all lessons with Georgie. So Georgie, thanks for jumping on Buying Gold Coast.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Really, really excited to come on today. I think where I wanted to start, Georgie, like for anyone who doesn't know you, a lot of people would know your success you've had with New Harvest and the business, which is amazing. I think it'd be cool to just unpack quickly because you're the type of person who you're always striving and you've always got things going on and you're making things happen. I think people see like, the business, the properties, the lifestyle, right? But I want to unpack just quickly, who did Georgie need to become or who did Georgie need to let go of to kind of be on this path today? Because there might be someone listening that wants what they see and everything that you have, but who do they need to become in the first place?
I love that you use the language, who did I need to let go of? Because I think that's a huge thing of, I guess, my background. For those who don't know me, is I started off in law. So I did law in university. I worked in a law firm, got admitted. I was working in family law. And 6 years of study, everything like that. I worked in a law firm for about 3 or 4 years in family law. And there was a moment where alongside that, I was also, doing the social media thing. I was posting a lot about my fitness and health journey, which is where I really started, doing YouTube. And I never kind of thought that the social media, the side hustle could be anything because I'm talking, this is back in 2015 probably. And so it wasn't normalized that you could utilize that. And so I did law just because I thought you had to go out and get a respectable job. And I'm not going to lie, I watched Legally Blonde and was like, this looks cool.
Yeah.
And so there was a huge moment where I had to decide if I was going to continue in this law job, the corporate, ladder, that sort of thing, or if I was going to figure out what this social media thing was, because it just got to a point where I couldn't do both. And so I made the huge decision that even though I didn't know the end result, even though I didn't know what was going to happen, and again, this was, over 10 years ago, where no one was using social media as, their career or anything like that, unless they were just an influencer. And so I had this moment where I was like, who am I going to be? And also, with law, I could very much see my life. I worked in a law firm. I could see the partners. I knew what was going to happen. And so I feel like, to answer your question, there was this moment where for the very first time in my life, I took this risk where I didn't know what was going to happen, but I followed this intuitive nudge of, I don't know what's going to happen, but I feel like if I don't figure out this side of things, I'm always going to regret it. And so I took the huge risk of leaving law. I also had like a gap year, which again, I had never done. I'd gone straight from high school into university. And so I had this gap year where I got creative and I put a lot of time and energy into, my social medias and doing different fun stuff. But also it was like the first time that I ever was like, I'm going to actually just back myself and bet on myself and actually just figure it out instead of having a plan, instead of having an end goal. And that's probably like the biggest moment in my life that changed everything. And I feel like that identity of someone who takes risks and backs themselves and says, it doesn't matter what's going to happen, I'm actually just going to figure it out, is then what has shaped me in regards to building my business, scaling my business, buying properties, like the woman who you see today. And so it was very much letting go of this identity where I had to have it all figured out. I had to, on the outside, look a certain way, because again, if you look at the optics of like leaving law, no job, to a lot of people, that's failure. To a lot of people, it's like, oh my God, what is she doing after 6 years of study, after, doing all the grunt work. I used to work 7 and our law firm actually opened at 7:30, which I think is ridiculous. But anyway, so I'd work from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at night, putting in a lot, and to just leave that on the outside and to other people, it would have looked like failure. It would have looked like I had no idea what I was doing. And so I really had to shed that identity of things having to make sense to other people and looking away a certain way to other people. But again, like I said, I feel like that has then created the foundation to me being able to build and leverage then what you see today, because a lot of the consequential decisions have not made a lot of sense, and again, have been a bit illogical and a bit crazy. And so I feel like that's probably who I had to let go of, like the Georgie who made sense to other people.
Wow. That's unreal. So it's nearly a good takeaway there that I heard, Georgie, for anyone who's in that space right now, because at the end of the day, this is where I'm going with it, is that the property success you've had has also come from the business success, which a lot of people on the Gold Coast right now are aiming to do. They could be in a identity, or they might have finished the uni degree that their parents did, or whatever it may be, and they're feeling nearly like an inflection point. So what you just said there is nearly the base. Actually, just to answer this question, did you feel you were more pulled toward or away from motivated? Like, was the pain of you didn't like law, or was it more the pull toward I see more for my life and I'm going to go
I
chase
loved
that?
law. I found it very interesting. Even though I worked in family law, we actually were doing like the Hague Convention. So it's international family law. So very interesting. But yeah, the pull of this other thing was stronger. And like I said, I could see my life, like I could see what it would look like. And even though it was interesting and I absolutely could be someone who did that, it was also like this thing over here. Again, I felt like I would regret it if I didn't figure it out. It definitely it pulled me more.
Pulled you more. Yeah, there you go. What about in terms of someone right now, right? They're like in that they've got the ideation stage, and then they want the business. What do you think's a good first step if they're getting that pull that they're feeling? They're realizing, they're hearing your tips around letting go of the past identity. What are some now, I guess, mechanical or practical things as maybe even a first step? Because the hardest bit, I mean, me and you can relate with business. You can't really think of that. You kind of just got to make that
You got to do it.
first step. Yeah. What could be one motivating step that someone could take right now to just be on that journey towards entrepreneurship, which will funnel into property?
I think the best thing that I did was and again, it's not the easiest thing to do, but I left law and I didn't know what I was going to do. So I didn't jump into something straight away. I didn't just pick the first business idea or the first opportunity. I very much gave myself space and self-inquiry to figure out what I wanted to do. And I feel like a lot of people these days, especially from a very young age, especially with currently what's happening, on social media, they have so much pressure to have it figured out, to make millions of dollars before they're 21 and to pick the thing that's going to last forever. And I don't think that works. I think for me, what worked was having, and I call it I had a gap year where I left law and I did things I loved. So I launched a healthy eating ebook because at that time and point, I was obsessed with cooking healthy meals. I randomly went on a brand retreat with Gymshark. I did a whole bunch of random things, which again, I knew weren't going to be the end goal, but they felt exciting, it felt passionate, and it also put me in rooms of other people doing what they loved, which I truly believe everything is energy. So when you're around other people who are doing cool shit, it obviously influences you. So I would say, and again, it's not the easiest thing, but don't just jump into something. Give yourself space and time to figure it out. Don't put the pressure of I need the $1 million business idea tomorrow. And a big thing too is don't just start the business or whatever for money, because
good point. Yeah.
I just truly believe it's not sustainable. Even if you have a really cool business, I consider my business very fun. The fact that the ideation of our products, super fun. We create, clean supplements. And then the marketing of it, super fun. If you've ever seen what we do in marketing, we do funny skits. We do really fun things. I'd call my business really fun. But it's had challenges. It's had so many ups and downs that if I didn't love it with passion, I would have quit years ago. And so I truly believe it's you still need to have that passion, because there will be moments where you need to push through and you need to overcome challenges. So I guess my advice would be take the space. Don't just have the pressure of I need to do something right now, and then follow. It's so cliche, but follow the passion, follow the joy. Even if it's the direct thing you're not completely passionate about, it's the part in the business that's your zone of genius, have passion in it, because I feel the sustainability then is huge compared to you restarting every couple of years because you get bored or you get exhausted or you get burnout. And for I've definitely experienced bouts of burnout, but I feel never for the passion of my business. And it's the reason we were able to scale quite quickly and become quite successful, is because sustainably my energy is always there. It's always driving it.
Love that. I heard this one the other day. You'll love Georgie around it's nearly a clean fuel and dirty fuel with business. We know a lot of business owners, I'm sure, and you can nearly feel it in their energy where it's it's a bit of a dirty fuel. They are successful because of they've got nearly a chip on their shoulder, right? And the fuel is always that
proving themselves.
Yes,
or,
proving someone or something or whatever it may be, versus what I'm hearing there is there's a bit of a clean fuel source where it's your drive is creating impact and you're doing fun things and that's so good, because the biggest thing I took away from that too, Georgie, that people understand, if you want to go down this entrepreneurial path, there will be roadblocks, there will be doubts, there will be times that are very, very tough. It's not for everyone. So to have that clean fuel source to keep you going, I think it's nearly, you have to have it, right? For sure. And I was going to ask, when doubt hits, what grounds you?
Great question. I think, again, it's like, I truly believe it's like your internal dialogue and your internal world is reflected in what you experience in life.
Yes.
And so when I experience doubt, I never make it wrong. It's just a feeling. And then it's always showing something to me. It's always reflecting something to me. So it's either reflecting to me, what do I need to access in regards to why do I think I can't do this? Or why do I think this isn't going to work? Or why do I think I've, fucked up or whatnot? And I'm going internal and really being like, what do I need to fix internal first and then dealing with the external? And as soon as you work through the internal, like the doubt internally, I feel like it just dissipates. I feel like you no longer experience it because, again, like I said, like everything you're experiencing is just getting reflected. So for me, it's just feedback. It's like, oh, this is a new edge. Or like, oh, maybe I wasn't as confident in this product or this, marketing scheme, or I don't know, whatever. And it just shows me feedback of like what I'm going to do different next time.
Yes.
Or if there's a shift I need to make in the team or in how we do things. Again, it's not like, and I always say to the girls, like, we're not saving lives here, we're selling supplements. So it's like, I don't ever take it as like an extreme feeling that means something negative. I'm always taking it as feedback, and then I'm adjusting and changing things accordingly. And again, I'm huge on the internal. So I'm always doing it internally before I try and fix anything external.
Love
Because
that.
I feel like if you change internal things, like so much shifts. Your team shifts.
Yeah.
How your audience takes you shifts, like so much shifts.
We could, this little question next could be a whole nother podcast. So I reckon we could vibe on this next question. But what do you think, what sort of inner work do you reckon is required the most when growing a business?
Oh, I know, right?
Because there's a lot, like I'm just even thinking of it, like I've changed and evolved so much. I tell everyone, owning a business is the best self-development course you could ever do.
Because it's really like real time shit's
Literally.
just getting thrown at you. And then also I think like, especially if you have a team, again,
Yes.
they're always reflecting you. So it's like this whole other thing. I think the best self-development work I've done is I've done a lot. I've done like inner child work. I've done shadow work. I think for me personally, it's about whatever's happening, again, self-inquiry internally. For me, it always leads to a story or a program that has been subconsciously playing that I then have to reprogram. And so for me personally, that is all about, once you have an awareness of something, you're able to choose different. Whereas when you don't have an awareness of something, it runs subconsciously, it runs in the background. So once you have an awareness, you're like, oh, okay, that's something very interesting about me. I have the belief that it's hard in business once you have children. And then for me, like the practicality of it, the mechanics, like you said before, is in every single moment, I'm like, wait, am I making this decision because I'm feeding into this belief of it's hard in business with, if you have a child? Or am I making this decision from this new identity of it's never been so easy to be a mother in business? And so like I'm catching the awareness of like the old programming, and then in every single moment, I'm either making the decision from the old identity or the new identity. And I feel like that work is the biggest work because it's continuous. It's not just doing a breath work and then going unconscious your whole day, which I feel like a lot of people, they're like, oh, I'll just do the meditation. I'll do the breath work. I'll go to an hour therapy session. And then the whole day, the old programming is running all their decisions. And so for me, the biggest work in business, and like, I feel like what has correlated a lot with me constantly expanding in my capacity and, succeeding is in every single moment I'm catching old programming, creating that awareness, and then picking old identity or new identity. So probably identity work.
And changing the story, you're kind of feeding yourself.
Totally.
And this is really good because it translates well into property, right? And which we'll go into a second, because that's a really good foundation for business, life, property, whatever it is, right? There's a lot of people listening who want to succeed in property. And I've seen it firsthand where literally actually just this morning, one of the team were catching up with someone and he got burnt with a deal in Melbourne back in the day, and then COVID and this and that. And then he got burnt again through someone that burnt him in like this sunny coast off the plan. And he's really keen on the strategy the team laid out for him. He's all in, but he's like, I'm genuinely, I just have this
doubt.
The doubt's there. Yeah. So it's really interesting that this sort of stuff can flow into all different areas of life. So I think you just gave a tip there on life in general, like a lot of aspects, which brings me, I guess, now as your business has evolved, you're doing the work and business is growing. Where did like property come into it for you? Like again, like we don't have to go into specifics, but obviously you built up a property portfolio. You obviously live on the Gold Coast. You're kind of all in on Gold Coast. Like where did this all come about, the property stuff?
So actually, I'm quite lucky in regards to, even though my family, my parents grew up quite poor. And so they really worked their asses off to provide for our family. And so very privileged in like how we grew up, like still very normal, but like compared to what they grew up with. But, my family story was very frugal around money, which a money story is such a huge thing. But in saying that, one good thing with my family is my parents invested in property as their assets. And that was kind of the only thing they did. And so my dad and mum owned maybe 2 investment properties as well as our family home. And so from a young age, I guess that was exposed to me. And so I had always had and then also I remember my brothers, I have 3 older brothers, they all bought properties when they were like 20. So
wow.
Straight in the
Good
property market. Yeah. And it was like very much in our family. Everyone got married when they were like 20. Everyone bought properties. Everyone had kids very young. And again, my parents met when they were 16, got married when they were 18, had babies when they were 20. So my brothers followed, my parents' steps. And so grateful in regards to being exposed to that, because that
exposure
obviously then programmed, how I felt about property. So me and my husband, we were engaged at the time and we bought our first property in Brisbane actually, in Holland Park, and it was under $500, so we can wait
500,000
back in the day. Under 500,000, so we could get the 20K. And we saved for 18 months, it was just a townhouse off the plan.
Love it.
And it was so funny because now I look back and like the price that they had on the whatever, we're just like, okay, we'll pay the price. Didn't negotiate, nothing. And it's so, it's funny, but also like glad we did it because imagine now. So that was our first property, and that was probably in 2018 or 17. So I was quite young. I was like 23.
Wow.
Yes.
It's really young.
Yes.
Good on you. Yeah.
And again, I think that's because I even remember at 23, like my brothers being like, what are you doing? You're going to buy a property? I'm like, I literally just finished university. Give me a minute.
So good. Because like I'm assuming your girlfriends aren't chatting property chat.
No, no one was. No one was. And so I feel very grateful that my family kind of had that.
For sure.
And so I got in the property market very young. And then 2 years later, we moved to the Gold Coast and bought in Palm Beach.
Spot.
Amazing spot. And this was, again, I think 2019 or 2020. And it's funny because I had a girlfriend who was actually in property, and she was like, don't buy in Palm Beach. That's like the druggo part of the Gold Coast. All the bikies are there. Like, run down. And I only bought there because my brother had moved to Palm Beach. And so again, great decision. And also I remember her saying, oh my God, you're paying way too much. Like, don't do it. And I loved the house. It was like a Hamptons looking house. So we very much just paid for like, I was like, no, I love this house. It was also a whole thing where it was 2 bidders. So we had to do our highest bid. So you look, they got us there. But again, now looking back, great decision.
Yeah.
And then 2 years later after that, we bought our house in Currumbin, which amazing house. Like that was like the epitome of me being like
you've manifested your life.
Like 2 infinity pools, 6 levels, 1,200 square meters, the most beautiful, insane views. That house was amazing. We also then had our daughter, Ivy, and that house was very not child-friendly at all. It's very, now I look back, that house was very much like, not an ego buy, but very much like you want
not as practical now that you're thinking life and kids and
Absolutely. It was just beautiful.
It happens a lot actually. Yeah.
And also
we see it a lot.
You don't know till you don't know. Like
Exactly.
I had never had a child. I didn't know what was going to happen. And so we ended up recently just buying a house last year at the back of Burleigh in Reedy Creek. And it is, again, over an acre. It's very spread out, greenery, swing set, pool, like very family orientated and beautiful. And also I forgot one other property. Maybe in who knows, sorry. A couple of years after we bought the Palm Beach house, we bought an investment property in Beachmont that we Airbnb out.
Nice.
And it was an old shack and we renovated it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you've always had that sort of property influence throughout your journey. And that was probably going to be a question, Georgie, like how important is like signal versus noise, right? Like your surroundings, because I remember when I first got into property too, my first place in Palmy too, and I had that exact, don't go Palmy. It's like, everyone had that
so
stigma.
lucky that I was like not born in the Gold Coast. So I was like, oh, I don't care.
Yeah. If for the person listening right now, like getting information from maybe a girlfriend and then maybe a tradie and then maybe they're listening to this pod, like how do you distinct signal versus noise and like who to trust or what to kind of bring into your life, you know? Because you had a lot of different opposing opinions.
I truly believe, and it's like this is not just with property, this is how I make decisions for everything, is the only person you can truly trust is yourself. And like that is the person who you should have your own back. You should love your decisions. You should think, you are the greatest person to make decisions in your life because no one is you. No one has had your experience. No one has your desires. And even though I know how we kind of programmed is trust the experts and, go out and ask your parents and your sister and your dog. I just truly believe that is helpful. And I always got, advice from, my finance guy to make sure I could actually afford it, make sure I wasn't making like a terrible financial decision in regards to putting, us in stress. So like doing those things are important and having somewhat, it is important to understand the market and you're not just going in blindly, and doing the groundwork with that is really important. But when it actually comes to the decision, I just truly believe you need to listen to yourself and your intuition. And for me, like my decisions with property haven't always made logical sense. It has always been about, and like, even that friend who's like, why would you, buy in Palm Beach? And I explained to her, like, I really love the look of the house. It's close to the beach. It's close to our warehouse. Like certain things like that. Wait, we didn't have a warehouse then, so I wouldn't have said that. I take that bit back. But like there was personal things that I'm like, well, you wouldn't understand because you're not me.
And you're seeing value differently. Yes.
And so be very careful about who you're talking to because they might value other things. But it's like you're the person who either has to live in there or pay the mortgage, payments. So I just think you're always your best bet. And again, though, that is how I've run my business. That's how I've run everything in my life. And again, too, like, for example, the Palm Beach decision, obviously now, great decision. In the moment, I did have the thoughts of like, oh, am I paying too much? Or am I making the right decision? But then still moving forward and trusting yourself. That's how you gain self-trust if you've never had that self-trust. It's actually moving forward on your decisions. And even though sometimes it might not completely work out, you're always going to learn something. You're always going to then be able to move through other experiences like differently. And I just truly believe if you have the internal, belief that it's like, I can't fuck it up. I can't make the wrong decision. I always trust myself. I trust my intuition. This is going to work. Then again, I just truly believe that has to be reflected in your experience.
I absolutely love that. It literally goes back to that guy this morning when the team were chatting to him, and I overheard it, and I just sort of said to him too, like, in life, we either win or we learn at the end of the day, right? And what I'm seeing there is, and then that's why mindset is so big, because some people may vision a bad experience or a burnt deal as like, that's a scar, and I don't ever want to go near that again, versus reframing it as an opportunity to learn and grow and kind of move through. And I absolutely love what you said around, what was it? Doing the decision is the biggest self-confidence you can get, like self-trust. Yeah.
Self-confidence.
I absolutely love that. Yeah. Because any property purchase or any big move in your business, there's no guarantee it's going to work and succeed either, right?
And I think also we have to normalize, like, I don't like to call it this, but it's like you need to normalize failure, because it's like, I love the saying, it's like, if I told you in, 2 failures time that you'd get $500 million, how quickly would you want to fail? And so many of us are so scared about failing and what it will look like to other people. And again, how it represents us as a person. But it's like, I don't know anyone who has made great success who hasn't failed.
100%.
So it's like, why would I be worried? And that's even like one of our properties, 100%, like, it was made off like a very like a heart decision that definitely didn't make like logical sense. But I still back myself on that, because I'm like, I learned so much. Financially also I learned so much, because again, until you do the thing, you're not going to figure it out. And so 100%, it's great to like get information from experts and podcasts and everything like that. But at some point you have to like be in the game. You have to actually move the pawns. You actually have to make the mistakes, because it's like, how are you ever going to figure anything out if it's like all just like logical? Or even think about the life of someone. Like, imagine if, like, I know from myself and like what creates drive in me, and I'd love to know your opinion. Like, imagine if you just got success after success after success, you never got challenges, you wouldn't be shaped. You wouldn't even like know who you are. You'd actually probably have a really low self-worth, because even though you have success, you probably wouldn't feel like you've earned it. Like, we don't understand, but like going through challenges and going through these things, it's actually shaping us. And then we like who we are. And that's why I'm saying, like, whatever decision you make, back yourself and like yourself, because again, it's like learning, amazing, success, amazing. And no one can ever say anything to you if you have that mindset. No one can ever make you feel less if you have that mindset.
Preach. Absolutely love that. For sure. And it's like, I always say too, with business, life, anything, it's like the confidence comes from nearly that ill competence. Like, you kind of have to suck to learn, and then you actually get really confidence when you move from sucking to being good. And then you're like, how self-fulfilling is that when you get that confidence boost? And then it's nearly like rocket fuel to keep kind of taking risks. You're exactly right. It's nearly, I'm just even reflecting, there's so many times in life we get the most confidence. It's going through those, like, we're not very competent, we suck, but like we did it anyway.
Yeah. Well, even like I I explain to people, like, if you had met me, like I'm 31 now, if you had met me when I was 21, you would be like, oh my God, who is this person? Like I'm so different, but also I love that version of myself because I had to go through her making very questionable decisions, being very lost in self-doubt, making, very questionable choices to become who I am.
Yeah.
But it's like to become this person who I am now, who I love. And I think I'm pretty awesome. I feel like my self-concept is really great. I had to be the girl who was lost. I had to be the girl who didn't make great decisions. But it's like you have to go through it. You can't just like bypass bad things happening or challenges or, hard things, because it's like that's actually your becoming. And it's like the person on the other side is the person you respect and trust and feel confident in. So it's like never be worried about like stuffing it up or like you said.
Love it. And then what about in terms of, Georgie, like property alongside building business? I'm curious with this because this could be really related to the entrepreneur on the Gold Coast, someone building, or maybe you've been in business for ages and you're killing it and now you're wanting to build asset outside of just the business. I'm curious to hear your thoughts because there's no real right or wrong, and every business owner I talk to are very different.
Yeah.
And I'm obviously very pro property, but now I've even understood the investment back into business alongside the asset base. So I'm just curious, chewing the fat on this. I'm like, is there a time in your business if you're scaling, are you like, I'm going all in on reinvestment into business, or is there periods where you're like, all right, I need to take some chips off the table, park it in more of an asset?
Yeah. I feel like for us, obviously the foundation, the start of a business, like obviously you are, really heavily investing, and that's very important. We've then, and we also like, we don't have any investors in our business. So it's like fully bootstrapped by us. And I feel like you go through seasons. So we've gone through seasons where we've had to reinvest in the business because we're either, going to a bigger warehouse or we're bringing out a new product range. And I've never been scared of investing in my business, but I've also never been scared of investing in property. And I think I just don't think you should be putting all your money in one basket.
Agreed.
And so, I invest money back in my business. I invest money in property. We have shares. We have other businesses. So like stuff going on where I think it is important to, again, be okay with spending money and letting money go. And because again, I've done a lot of work on my money story where it's like, I truly believe like whatever I let go comes back to me tenfold. So I'm not too worried about where it goes. But also if you think of anything, like even I think of the amount of money I've spent on myself with coaches and mentors. And like, I remember when I told my dad and he was like, Georgia, you could have bought a whole house. And, to him, because property is the most important asset. And that's great. But I just personally think you should be investing money in yourself, and then really having a variation of where you put money, and just being conscious of like, we try and make money decisions where it's like, buying this or investing in this, in 6 months' time, if the business did need a top up, or, maybe we're expanding to the US and we need to funnel money in, can I make sure I've got some cash available? So kind of, thinking 6 to 12 months ahead. But also, I think another thing with property, and again, you will probably want to talk about this, but a story I keep hearing is like, oh, well, I can't get in because it's like, it's too much now. And I'm like, yeah, but imagine in 5 years or 10 years, like it's going to, increase. And so I just truly believe like the moment where you are financially at a point where you can invest, whether it's the business or, a property or whatever, it feels good for you. You thought about it logically. You thought, 12 months ahead, just do it. Like, because there's always going to be someone saying like, oh, it's the wrong time to, buy a property, or don't invest into your business because what if this happens? Like there's always going to be that noise. But again, like I said, I feel like it's like this very personal thing. And again, that's why I think you need to have a business that you back and are passionate about, because you're going to have no worries investing money back in the business. And then also backing yourself with like investing money in property.
A big mindset shift for me was around, as the business evolves, so does your borrowing capacity, right? So the ability, looking at a twofold asset class, like your business is an asset at the end of the day, for sure.
Totally.
Like a business is a business, property is a business, investing into it. And the biggest like cherry on top I always say to everyone when they're sometimes struggling is, sometimes the best liquid asset you can invest in is in yourself, in learning how
So
to
true.
potentially scale from solopreneur to entrepreneur, and maybe building a team, and then maybe you need to invest in the leadership coaching or sales and marketing coaching. Or as we were saying off air, sometimes you're one or two investment like key hires away from your whole business changing. Like you don't have to
Totally.
have all the answers. Maybe
Yeah.
it's who, not how. So I really love how you've kind of balanced you building the business, but also like realizing from your money story, like, hey, I'm not afraid to put into assets too and do both. I'm curious, how do you balance just like intuition with strategy? Like you seem like someone who's very intuitive and you trust your gut, but obviously it sounds like you got good people, and you obviously would have to, right? To as you succeed, like you obviously there'd be accountants and all sort of people. But how do you balance intuition with strategy?
So I truly believe it's not the action, it's the person behind the action. And so like I'm obviously heavily into like energetics and that side of the world. And so for example, before I'm making any big decision, I'm really asking myself like, who's making this decision? And I spoke to you a little bit before about like, I love identity work. So I'm always thinking like, is this the old identity or is this the new identity? And I'm always very clear on the new identity and who I'm stepping into. And even for example, like when I made that decision with the Palm Beach house, it was very much made from like, because the new identity was the successful business owner who lived at the coast, who loved the lifestyle. So it's like I made the decision from her who already had what I wanted. And if I thought about from her, of course she would buy this property. And so that's how I'm making kind of every decision. And of course, strategy comes into that. Like I'm not just making random decisions, but it's very much who am I being when I make that decision? So if you're making a decision from lack or scarcity, like for example, let's say you're buying a property, but it's like you're just buying like the cheapest property or like whatnot, I guarantee you will then experience things that make you a cheap person. Like you're having the experience because you made the decision of through like scarcity, you will then experience scarcity in other areas of your life. So when I'm making any decision, it really is asking myself, okay, if I am, the most abundant, the person who backs herself, I have self-trust, I have confidence, I have quality of life, I have like all the things I want, like what decision are they making? Or, who's the person they're going to? What sort of strategy are they thinking? I'm always doing that rather than a default, because usually the default is the old programming that scarcity, fear, doubt does run in. So yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, overarching over everything, Georgie, it sounds like you got a lot of self-awareness. I think,
I would hope so.
I think at the end of the day too, like a lot of this in the mindset is like you picking up, like I heard you say a few times, like picking up when there's stories.
Yes.
Like I think that's a big, I guess, takeaway too, right?
I think it's like not many of us are told, understand this concept because we just think whatever we think is the truth.
Yes.
And it's like, think how much we're just going around life.
On autopilot,
Yeah, on autopilot and on default. And then so I truly believe too, it's like if you're experiencing, so your current reality that you're experiencing, like if you want different, you've basically got to have a different brain. You've got to have different thoughts and beliefs. And so I know it seems like tedious to every single thought be like, is this the old identity or the new identity? But otherwise, you really are living unconsciously, and you will experience exactly what you're experiencing now for the rest of your life. So if you're fine with that, if it's an amazing experience, 10 out of 10, don't worry about it. But if you do want different, you do have to constantly challenge your own thoughts, because they're never truths. Like, again, if you grew up in a household like me where it's very frugal, to start Naked Harvest, I had to put $80,000 in. Like, imagine me, from that old identity, I just probably wouldn't have done it. It would have felt too risky. I didn't know what was going to happen. So it's like, during those key moments in my life, I can really look back and be like, wow, I was really kind of in my own head and really in that awareness of like, wait, what's this decision? Because it's really so true. It's like, you will then experience from the state that you were making the decision from.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah, that is so good. It just made me reflect. I remember my first property, actually, I didn't tell my parents, like I didn't tell my dad for like, it was like 18 months, like legit. So again, because, and this is where I get a lot of self-trust. Yeah, great question, because my parents, I'm Filipino, Polish immigrant background, come over here with nothing. So my upbringing was very same as you. Like,
don't take risks.
Yeah, no way. Like
you
every penny
money,
counts.
You keep everything.
Like, I got in trouble for leaving the switches on.
Yes,
right. So that
me too.
that sort of house.
Yeah.
So imagine getting debt because everything was like you can't take on debt.
Yeah.
So that was my money story. But then as I went on this path of learning about property and investing, it was like all the best investors I know, they're leveraging and they're growing money off money. You need money to make money. You need to spend it, invest it. So I just went and did it. And I'm just reflecting back now. I was very young, just backed myself, even though my own family who loved me were kind of feeding me, I believe, the opposite. Yeah. So it's nearly like sometimes the people closest to you are sometimes the one you kind of need to also block out and just go with, again, your gut.
Well, you can also like very much ask yourself, the people that are feeding you the story or you're getting advice from, ask yourself, like, do you want to have their life? Because if you make decisions like them, you will experience what they're experiencing.
So true.
So it's like, never take advice from anyone who you don't like, oh no, I'd be so happy to have what they have and live a life they have. And that can just like create so much clarity. And I think also I love that you didn't tell your dad, because like you don't have to tell everyone everything. That's
true.
I'm like really big on, if I have a big goal, I often like, I didn't tell anyone about my business for literally until it was like about to launch, because I didn't want anyone and
any noise and opinions coming in.
Because like it was hard enough getting my self-belief for myself on board. I didn't need to convince everyone else.
Yeah.
So I literally didn't tell them. So I feel you on that one.
Love that. That is so true. Yeah. Even the business, I didn't either. Yeah. Yeah. Same thing. There you go.
And I also love to just like quietly achieve.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Hey, as we wrap up, Georgie, I got two last final things. What, like now that you're building and you're doing more in life, like what do you think the Gold Coast, like as a city, as an entrepreneurial hub, like you're kind of in both camps right now. You're in business, you're also in property. Like this city is just, I believe, not even scratching the surface yet. What's your thoughts, anyone listening on? You're obviously very tied into the business world. What are you seeing? The city, who's moving here? What's kind of
everyone's
your vibe?
Moving here.
Yeah.
Point in case.
Yeah.
I just think, it's giving like the city of dreams, the Gold Coast, don't you think? It's like very much, there's so many like cool e-com businesses here. There's so many people, again, like betting on themselves. And it's funny because in my business, I have quite a few like, young girls working for me. And one of them who's like, my assistant and content creator, she moved from New Zealand. And she just, like, her description of the Gold Coast very much represents the vibe. And she kind of just said, like, you come here and you feel motivated to wake up. You feel so excited to be here. The people around here are striving. They're up at 5 a.m. They're running. They're wanting more. They're challenging themselves. And it's such a, beautiful vibration to be in. So I feel like 100%, it's like such a beautiful city. There's so much like opportunity. There's so much excitement. And a lot of us have very similar mindsets, much like,
Yes.
this conversation where you can just go out to any event and meet very like-minded people, which doesn't always happen. And I also feel like we're very fun here in regards to, we're serious, like we're going after things, but it is very much like lifestyle. I want to enjoy every single day.
Couldn't agree more. That's the big thing I've noticed is like, yes.
Are you seeing
striving,
that represented in people buying properties?
For sure, yeah. So attraction is a lot of high performance mindset, but they have understood, and a lot of it was post-COVID, that they've understood there is more to life than the corporate ladder or building the business. It's like you can build the business, but I'm also conscious. I want Jimmy to have a great school and go to the beach, and I want to enjoy my weekends and get my weekends back and enjoy it. So that's really cool. And then the whole health buzz is all time. Like everyone's,
awesome.
It's so good. And even the younger gen now, they're all going out running on Sundays. Like
I was talking to some of the work girls and I was like, do you guys go out? They're like, honestly, not really. I'm like,
good on them, mate. I know.
And I was like, wow, I really miss this.
Yeah, literally. It's such a cool.
It's really good.
It is. I'm just curious, there's no right or wrong, but like from a property sense, where does Georgie see opportunity on the Gold Coast, just out of curiosity?
See, I'm a very like heart-centered buyer. So I'm buying for, again, the lifestyle. Are we living there or are we investing?
Let's say invest. If there was someone, Just curious. Yeah. Everyone has a different opinion on it. Just curious what you would say.
I just love the south.
The southern end?
Yeah. Because I just feel like it's a bit less, it's so busy now, but like just a little bit quieter. And it's also just where my business is. And it's also where I spend most of my time.
Yeah.
So I love the south side, but also I feel like anywhere has some like unique, special spots about it. So I feel like you can't really get it wrong.
Yeah, it's interesting. This is actually straight hot off the press. I spoke at a keynote last week, and they were talking around the rise of business entrepreneur. They're actually building like most likely. Sorry, it's not all approved. I don't even know if this is public knowledge I should be sharing, but it's all good.
But I'll do it anyway.
Yes, the thing like like the tech hub, like the San Fran tech hub. Yeah. Sort of out the back of Palmy, Currumbin. They want to build like a full on tech like to attract. Because what they're finding is a lot of Australia's best tech entrepreneurs, they're having to go to San Fran and all that. So they want the Gold Coast to be that for Australia.
I love this for us. Well, we all better start buying properties.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting. And the southern end is strong. The northern end is very good at certain like there's so many, you're right, there's so many good pockets. It actually brings me to the property of the week, actually, Georgie, you'll love this. It's actually in the suburb of Palm Beach.
Yeah.
So the team secured an off market, just off 15th Ave, business owner, same thing, he's scaling his business. He just got a nice juicy little
my house
investment.
is on 15th Ave.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So it might have bumped his value up even more. It's near Georgie Stevenson. Yeah, there you go. So block of 8, we always talk on land to asset ratio, and that was secured under the $1 million mark off market with the team at Strama. Yeah, close to the beach.
What do you mean block of 8? What does that mean?
So yeah, the big on land to asset ratio. So obviously a house now, you're needing $2 million. But what we're finding is still there's really good investment opportunities for people who might not just have $2 million just sitting handy. So this particular buyer bought in the 900s for like a boutique block of 8. So he owns one of 8 in a boutique block. And, there's brick walk-ups, kind of Palmy. Yeah.
It's like an apartment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
I was really confused. I was like, he bought a room?
No. No. Block of 8.
I'm
one
with
unit.
you, sorry.
Yeah. On like 1,000 square meter close to the beach off market. So shout out to the crew there at Strama for all your property needs. But
great location.
Great location it is, yeah. But I'm keen to, as we finish on Georgia, we always finish with our Fast 5, Gold Coast Fast 5. Before we get in that, I just want to acknowledge you not only for your time, obviously, but also your wisdom. As I said, that was a really cool ep. I I knew I was going to get some juice more deeper than just like, oh yeah, just believe it and you'll have it.
Just believe it and you'll see it.
Yeah. There was some absolute wisdom there with intuition, strategy, but also I really love the money story.
We could do a whole episode on money.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, really good. So I really appreciate that insight, Georgie.
Welcome.
All right, so Gold Coast Fast 5 brought to you by the crew at Temp Therapy, saunas, ice bath, wellness. They'll look after you. Code word SRAMA. If you're getting a pad decked out and you want some wellness, hit up the lads. They'll look after you. SRAMA is the code word there. So first thing that pops to mind, Georgie, to finish. So first one, Gold Coast beach. Which beach on the coast is your go-to with the family?
It's definitely Currumbin or Tugun.
How good's Currumbin? How good's Tugun? Tugun is like that.
I'm heading more towards Tugun these days. I would have said Currumbin. Now I'm a bit more Tugun.
Yeah, everyone connotates Tugun to like the flight path or the Tugun is like a sleeping giant.
Oh, I love Tugun.
Yeah, it is a great spot. All right, favorite Gold Coast cafe or restaurant? At the moment.
Okay.
At the moment.
So cafe, I love Next Door or St. Bart's, actually very close to here.
Oh yes, St. Bart's. Yep.
It's like randomly on a next to a furniture store.
It's got the nice fit out, It's beautiful.
Yeah, they do the most amazing matcha with like cold foam. So that would be all the work girls that go there.
Yeah.
So we get our matcha from there. And then restaurant, I'm obsessed with Etsu.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been to Etsu?
Can't go wrong with Etsu.
It's like Japanese, raw fish. Give me all the raw fish.
Yeah, it is good, Etsu. What about in terms of, you might have said it before, but investment location on the Gold Coast right now? I think if you were to choose one area.
Yeah, I feel like south side. I would even go more like Tugun. I'd even go more south because I feel like it used to be Palm Beach, Currumbin, and then it's just getting
kind of that bridesmaid suburb, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, love it. Last two questions. Holiday destination away from the Gold Coast.
I love Noosa. Or Byron. I still have to stay close because I've got like a young child. Like I'd love to say the Maldives, but I'd say Noosa or Byron.
It's actually our most common destination for this question.
Is it?
Noosa.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing there.
Yeah. It is a good
Noosa.
spot. And lastly, you might be already there, but where do you think the forever home would be on the Gold Coast?
I really feel like I'm now in my forever home.
Yeah.
See, I don't believe in forever homes.
I know, yeah.
Because if you look at the episode, I've moved every 2 years.
Yes.
But at the moment, my finance guy was like, let's try and stay here for 5 years. So 5-year forever home. I feel like Reedy Creek is a bit slept on because all the blocks are huge.
Yes.
And it is an older suburb. So I don't think anyone looks there, but also don't come there because we want to keep it quiet.
The good thing around Reedy Creek too, you get elevated views.
Yeah, we have a whole view of the city.
Which
no one knows. So again, don't come there.
I think that section's going to be like the Beverly Hills of the Gold Coast.
Isn't it?
It will be one day for sure. So great insight, Georgie. And thanks again for jumping on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome.